Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, Joel said it. Welcome back to another episode of Jaxon Talks, everybody. With me, your host, Jaxon Stone, for sure my real name, 100%. But this is episode number 72, and we have a returning guest, 1 year in the making. We bring back on the show my roommate, Joel Sands.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the show.
What's up, Stoner Gang? It makes Jaxon Stone, Stoner Gang, it meshes. So I've dubbed the Stoner Gang. You're welcome. What is up? Work is what's up. Just another year, pandemic roller coaster navigation.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that.
And
but I got one specific question.
I know exactly what the first question is. I've heard it a few times, I'm gonna let you ask it.
Thank you. Yes, for my regular listeners, you know what question is coming. It's the only question I have prepared. It's not prepared anymore. This is how I start the show. But for new listeners, thanks for checking out the show. I'm going to get into the meat and bones right now, so please stick with us. But I think this question is extremely important, valuable, and encourages more open and honest conversation, which might be the secret unlock, maybe not so secret anymore, to more connection, less divide, and maybe more sense of unity or understanding. So, Joel, how are you doing? Like, for real?
How am I doing? I'm doing. No. For real. I would say, as of this moment, I would say I'm doing a lot. I'm very overwhelmed with emotions, both positive, both negative. And you know, when you're feeling so many emotions at once, it could be a little bit overwhelming.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I feel, you know, a little bit overwhelmed with, you know, all the emotions happening. You know, work is busy, but fortunately, so in the 1 year since y'all have last...
So Joel moved in September of 2020.
Yes, and then...
we're recording this episode September 20th, 2021.
And
it'll come out in October. So officially he's lived here over a year at Everybody's Land. Buy the merchandise at jacksonstone.net. But anyways, continue.
If I would have known there was going to be the plug, I would have worn mine. I would have endorsed. Anyway, yeah, tomorrow I hit my 1 year mark with my company, Appfolio. So if you guys pay rent, that it could be a possibility of our software that you use, how to pay rent. And I was looking for a job where I could genuinely make connections, not with just clients, but like my coworkers. I was looking for friends and colleagues, something that I had never had before at previous jobs, and I finally, you know, found a job that I like the people, the work I'm doing. You know, it's work. I mean, I got asked the other day, you know, do you like, you know, what you're doing? I'm like, well, you know, I'm content with what I'm doing. I mean, who really enjoys looking at a spreadsheet all day and meshing with numbers and dealing with some cranky clients? You know, if I could get paid to work with music and audio engineering all day, every day, you know, yes, without hesitation I would. But, you know, I like the people I work with, the work I do. Excuse me. The work I do brings me fulfillment by the end of the day, I would say. As in, I'm staying busy. It gives me something to do. It's actually something I look forward to because it brings me a sense of connection with a wider range of people, I guess, than I would have outside of work, which is kind of an interesting point to make that, I have a lot more people that I'm connecting with inside of work than outside, just because, I got a good team, and I've been working remotely this entire time too. That's another really key point to bring up is, I'm always in the Zoom room wherever, the Zoom is to be held with the team, bringing the energy. And one of my goals, like I said, was to really connect with people. And I've met just about everybody on our team except for maybe 2 or 3 people. And
in person?
In person. And I take a lot of pride in that, including 3 people who are in our Santa Barbara office. So, being able to reach out and network was one of the things. Not network, but like make friends. And is something that I wanted to do. I mean, one of them even came over and helped hang up our TV. Shout out Brandon, if you're in the area and
about to say that,
need help with mounting.
He was a legend.
Bro, yeah, he's got a laser level.
He had an amazing toolkit.
Yeah.
First off, and he just knew exactly what he was doing. By now that stuff is not my area of expertise.
That's why I called him in for a pair of second hands. Yeah. Just because, I was worried, I'm not going to get into technicality of the mount, but I was, it was also nice, he came, companionship is nice.
Yeah. You've hung out with him outside of...
Yeah, I've hung out. I go to concerts and stuff with him. Yeah. I go disc golfing with some coworkers, go get lunch. Occasionally we've done just meeting up at the Katy Ice Trail, what is it?
Ice House? Katy Trail Ice House?
Katy Trail Ice House, yeah. And yeah, it's been a good time. I've met my boss, met my director. Finally going back into the office, or can't say back, going into the office soon. My laptop should be shipped this week. If it hasn't by the time this podcast is dropped, then everybody, let me know, and I will throw a hissy fit at work. And if you want to know what a grown man throwing a hissy fit at work is like, I'm just kidding. I want that.
Well, a few of the people that listen to this show are avid wrestling fans, and they've seen a few grown men throw some temper tantrums in the middle of a professional wrestling ring. So
oh, okay.
I think they can picture it pretty well.
Well then, I imagine one has bigger effects. More in terms of long term than, I guess physical long term, or just for short term entertainment. But I'm not gonna piss anybody off. That's a goal. Try not to piss anybody off, or don't piss off the right people at least. But as they always say, it's don't piss people off.
But we'll give an update on this TV situation because I think it's very interesting. Not to brag about anything, just to give you an update. When Joel moved in, you can't see it, but it's right behind you. My TV setup. I don't really care about audio or things of that nature when it comes to watching TV. I've sort of updated my podcast audio because people have told me that previous mics they couldn't hear, and then I got this mic donated. I bought this mic, so it's better. I think for the most part you can understand what I'm saying, which is good. If you can't, please tell me. I'll keep trying to fix that. But with my TV situation, I have a TV stand, a nice, probably 35, 6-inch TV on top of my TV stand with a sound bar that I bought at Walmart. Joel moved in. He got himself situated. He brought over these really nice speakers that go on the side. They're very large. And then what is that thing in the middle?
That would be a stereo amplifier.
And then he decided that we should mount the TV. So then we mounted the TV, and the whole setup looked really nice. And then
it looked it looked nice, but it looked off because you had this giant speaker setup with this mediocre TV.
Yeah, and it wasn't a smart TV, so we were using his Apple TV and Google Chromecasting. So there was a lot of different remotes, and it was a whole ordeal. And then Joel sold this sports card for me, an Albert Pujols sports card. And he said, I'm selling this for you in hopes that you put it towards a new TV. And so...
Needless to say, I sold the sports card for $125, made $100 from eBay, and that's $100. Thank you to...
and then, boom.
Aaron's sports card collection.
Is our brand new smart TV, LG TV, that Brandon helped us put up yesterday. And now after this episode, we're going to watch the new episode of Ted Lasso, which we haven't seen any of those.
Just won all the awards last night.
So that's where we're going to go next. Please watch Ted Lasso. It's amazing. I did a whole episode on the season 1. I'm going to do a whole episode on season 2, recapping it, why I think it's great, what you can learn from it. Obviously has so many parallels to real life because all of what they go through is what all of us go through. The struggles, the panic attacks, the anxiety, the heartbreak, success, failure, personal relationships, all that stuff is intertwined in like a very positive, optimistic outlook on life. And that's how I view things. That's how I try to coach my team like Ted Lasso. But Joel and I have watched every episode of season 2 together. It's our little thing.
Yeah.
And so your take, I want to hear your take on Ted Lasso.
Well, actually, first off, I love Jason Sudeikis. Yeah. It wasn't that I was hesitant on watching it. I'm not the biggest, football, soccer fan. Or I don't understand it enough to, I guess, enjoy it to that extent.
Sure.
So
Joel's a basketball guy.
I am a basketball guy, but
Mavs forever.
You know it. You can't see my Dirk bobblehead collection.
Pretty
but
sweet.
Love me the Mavs.
I do talk about the stuff that's in my house a lot. I may just have to do an MTV Cribs type deal. But anyways.
We'll have to do that sometime.
Yeah.
So Ted Lasso, love Sudeikis, watched SNL. If you go back and you watch the ESPN classic, one of my favorites, The Lady Bowling, and he does product placement for just obscure products, like advertisers that just throw in, brought to you by Bud Light, but this was Lady Bowling, brought to you by Vagisil. I scream, you scream, we all scream for vagina cream. This episode, unfortunately, is not brought to you by Vagisil, so when dryness lingers, get a different cream on those fingers.
Yeah. This episode of Jaxon Talks, everybody, is brought to you by this nifty Post Malone pillow.
Post Malone, official rapper of the Dallas Cowboys. Kind of.
Mazel tov.
Okay. Back to Ted Lasso. So, love Ted Lasso. And especially, I think, so I binge watched the first season, so I could have something to talk about with Jaxon Stone. So
how hard was that for you right there?
I thought, what would Mark do?
Oh my God, he would say the full name, yeah.
And so
I gotta talk about that.
Sorry. Jaxon Stone Sr. For those who don't know who Mark is, your dad's name is Mark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I know my names. Anyway, I wanted something to talk about with Aaron, and this was a good TV show because we don't have a lot of similar tastes when it comes to entertainment. I think you like sappy drama shows. I like my superhero shows, which you don't hate, but I just have a dying passion for. If you haven't seen any of his
he loves Marvel.
Snaps, all the Marvel well, not all the Marvel, you got all the Miss Marvel, but I got the Iron Man and the Infinity Gauntlet, but I'm trying to match his level of Miss Marvel up here, so we got a marvelous place, if I must say.
Miss Marvel keeps us safe, and then we got some Iron Man. Yeah, some stuff. But yeah, we're going to get into Marvel in a bit because I want to talk to you about some of the shows you watched and the new movies.
But we watched some, I think we're into some different stuff. So Ted Lasso is one of those shows that I knew, I love Sudeikis. I'll watch it, try to get into it. really got into it, and then one episode really hit me in the first season, and it was when they were in the club. They had just won, and all of a sudden, the scene starts getting blurry. It gets the high sort of pitch, and Ted runs out of the bar or club, and I knew exactly what was going on, like, in that moment. Like, I knew exactly what happened, and what was even weirder was the exact same thing happened. I don't remember if it was the day before or the day after, but, I knew that Ted was having a panic attack by this symptoms that he was having. Like, he was showing shortness of breath, that this space was, closing in on him, that, he felt it in his stomach. And it's something you just don't know what was happening, and something that's really, really difficult to control. Now, for me, it was, all these, I started off saying, like, I'm feeling overwhelmed with all these emotions, but right now I'm managing them very, very well. At the time I had this panic, that I think it was way more, of the, emotions that are more difficult to deal with, like guilt and shame and pain and fear. And, those kind of, enabled a panic attack for myself. So, once I saw, Ted Lasso go through the same thing, I was like, okay, this stuff is way too real. And, it was a really, hopefully, because it happened in the first season, you had seen it, all I had to do was reference, the scene, and kind of knew what happened. I even, all I had to I was telling, people, I referenced, just Ted Lasso, and I have a lot in common. And now with this season, him, exploring therapy, and spoiler alerts for those who haven't watched season 2. Hopefully, I believe there will be either an episode left or 2 by the time this airs. So start binge watching. But yeah, when he started going to see a therapist, it's a really relatable show. I think he does it in a manner that is very similar to the way that I kind of not live my. I mean, it's clearly he's a fictional character who has way better jokes than I do, but he clearly hides a lot of his, anxieties and history with his humor, and most importantly, helping other people.
Right.
Like, one of the things that I got in my 1-year annual feedback was that I helped people out too much, and in doing so, I won't necessarily always complete my work in a timely manner, which will cause me to overwork sometime.
Right.
And I think that's just the nature that I am. I'm just a giving person, that I cope with my emotions by trying to help other people with their problems, and then sometimes, like Coach Lasso,
you go unattended.
I get unattended. People don't ask me how I'm doing. People, it doesn't get reciprocated. What can be done for me, and that times, is when it feels overwhelming, and I just, the parallel between good old Ted Lasso and me is crazy. And I would totally, if I could grow a mustache, I'd go as him for Halloween, but unfortunately, that's the reality is I'm not going to be able to grow a Ted Lasso mustache.
I guarantee on Amazon there'll be a Ted Lasso costume, but you don't want to paste it on you.
I'm a man, You know,
You are.
I think
But growing a mustache doesn't constitute whether you're a man or not.
No, you're right. Facial hair doesn't constitute whether I'm a man or not. But 13-year-old Joel, and bunk bed, cabin, summer sleepaway camp, late puberty hit me, and everybody was starting to grow chest hair, hair and under their arms and hair, other places. And Joel didn't. So, once Joel grew chest hair, I told 13-year-old past self, I'm never shaving, my chest hair. So I feel like if I could grow a mustache, I would, but I am patchy, and it would not look good. So, give it 5 years, and maybe I'll be able to grow one. But I would only commit. I don't think I could stick a sticker on me.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's kind of like, do you want to go as Anthony Davis for Halloween? Well, are you going to really stick a unibrow on you? No, it's more feasible if you actually had a unibrow,
That guy rocks it like a legend, though.
That dude, well, if, I had that much money too, I would rock a unibrow as well. And same thing like Russell Westbrook rocking that dress.
Ooh.
The only way nice. That I would rock a dress, well, no, I lie. Freshman year of college, I wore a kilt for Purim, and
boom,
definitely freeballed it.
You rock a dress, or you dress how you dress because you have the ultimate confidence in yourself, and that's what you want to wear, and that's what you feel comfortable in, so you let it fly, and that's amazing.
Amen. And I don't have that confidence to wear a dress, but yeah, wear what you want. That's why I'm dressed like this, and not the suit that I said I was going to put on for all you single ladies. Only slide into the Jaxon Stone DMs.
Yeah. Here's Joel's phone number.
Yeah, it's gonna be streaming on the bottom right now. I wouldn't be surprised if any of y'all have looked me up on the Facebook.
But I have a question off of what you said about Ted Lasso.
Yes.
And yourself.
Yes.
Do you think that since you are a very giving person, you're very about service to others, same as Ted Lasso, that it comes across as you being strong and there for others, so that you don't need help from anyone else, so they don't ask? Or you think it's something different? Or you think that's maybe that and a little bit of something else?
Well, I think this question is what you get when you cross an elephant and a rhino. Elefino. That was one of my favorite Ted Lasso jokes. No. So, the question was, do I, portray this, helping others to... What, remind me?
So you give. That's part of your nature. That's part of your essence.
Exactly.
It's the wanting to give, right? That's who you are. Do you feel like sometimes people don't reciprocate that or ask if you're doing okay because you give so much, so they feel like you're okay and you're good, you got your shit together, when really everyone needs a helping hand at time? Everyone needs to be asked if they're okay or if they need help, no matter what they portray on the outside, maybe?
I don't necessarily think that it's... people thinking that I'm okay, because, I'm fair. That was another thing. I'm relatively unfiltered, so I've been learning more. Well, I may not necessarily express my feelings or how I truly feel in, the most mature or manner, sometimes, with a little bit of excessive humor, but I definitely try to, people could kind of hopefully tell how I'm feeling, if I'm not talking or if I'm silent, then something's off a little bit.
That's a sign.
There, those people that know me can tell signs, but I'm so, I just think it's the way I kind of, was taught to value as, giving more to other, give more to others than myself. I feel like that's my purpose, is to, make people happy, make people content, make other people's lives easier, broad purpose, but whatever happiness means to each in one's own, that's what I care for. So I might do it to kind of hide my own problems too. And the other thing is, one thing, and I'm exploring this too myself in therapy, like why are things, usually not reciprocated back towards me. Like, I'm usually the one initiating people to do something. Nobody really calls me, nobody really texts me, nobody really, asks me to do, go out. I got my movie buddy, shout out Josh, our old buddy from high school. I see good old Tanner, shout out Leather Sofa Company.
Boom. Right
that's
here.
Another product.
That is an actual product placement. Yeah.
If you like wonderful sofas.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to the Sofa Leather Company.
Hasn't scratched. As wonderful deals. Tell them Jackson and Joel sent you.
That actually might work.
So and they are some of the most friendliest.
They're
people.
Wonderful people.
So yeah, Tanner too is a very similar, just giving, selfless person. But other than that, I've gained friends. Friends have stopped talking to me for whatever reason or not. A lot of times too, it gets a little bit depressing when you're the only one ever wanting to reach out to somebody and it's never reciprocated back. And so, in terms of helping other people, I feel like that's more of an action. I find myself doing it more at work. I go out of my way to help people with anything that they need around here too. Like, going to my parents and helping them out themselves. Trying to figure out what I can help around here. Just anything that keeps me busy, and I guess not really ruminating ultimately. But in terms of I guess relationship building, I have friends, like I do stuff with other people.
Right.
A lot of times it feels like I'm the one facilitating stuff. And again, that's when it gets kind of if you were gonna the initial, what's the initial question you always ask? How am I doing?
Yeah.
Well, I'm I have a sense of loneliness a lot of times. I don't know if it's just being 27, single. A lot of friends are getting into relationships, trying with the dating apps, not having any luck. Even getting matches, and when I do getting luck, getting people to reply, and so that makes me even in a larger limbo of being more depressed, knowing I'm getting a bunch of rejections than I am, because it's the same algorithm for me than it is for you. I think, well, not you. I don't think you and I are matching up on. But I'm happy. I think I'm happier with that, and I truly believe in meeting somebody organically too.
Yeah.
People know people, and could always set people up. So again, for those of you watching, another plug if you got a nice single friend.
Well, that's why you you're involved heavily in like the Jewish community in this area.
Yeah.
That's one of your
Wow. Okay, that's gonna need to be cut out. That was a good voice crack.
No, I'm just unedited versions.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Heavily involved in the Jewish community.
Get your sip of your latte, and we'll circle back.
Oh yeah. Bum bum. Oh yeah. Okay. How am I feeling? Sorry. We were watching some shit, or he was watching.
Yeah.
Some
if you haven't watched Sex Education on Netflix, it's a fine show. It's pretty good. Whatever.
I heard the song. There's the beginning.
But
Ferris Bueller.
That just came out, and Joel walked in the room when I was watching, and it stuck in his head.
Ferris. Oh yeah.
But anyways, that's why you stay involved or have been involved in the Jewish community for a long time.
I find, the Jewish community to be very close, tight-knit. A lot of relatable things. This is how I grew up. You find community within your religion, whatever. I don't love minority grouping per se, but I do find it as a great way for community. Like if you're Hispanic or you're specifically from Guatemala, and there's a good Guatemalan community here. If you're South African, I know that there's a great South African. My faith is in the community that you surround yourself with. So for me, it just so happens to be the Jewish community. Very giving people too. Part of where I get my part of my values from, it's given me something to do, people to see. Do I always hang out with the people after out? Not all the time, but ultimately the events that I go to, it is nice to have that connection and spiritual guidance. That's how I connect with higher power, my beliefs, but it's also just a really powerful community, a group. Any community you're part of, it could be a LGBT community, rely on that community for your needs, and anything that you need help with. If you're part of mental health, and you're part of a group, those people, or any community that you surround yourself in, I think are going to be the most beneficial to you. And if you're not feeling any, benefit, you're obviously, not hanging out in a, right community.
Yeah, I mean, having a sense of community, having a sense of service, being around other like-minded people who also have the same kind of view on things, is how you live a little bit healthier, happier life. And the first part of that is exploring what you're curious about. It doesn't have to be a religious faith or anything of that nature. It could just be something that you're interested in or curious about. Maybe you really like turtles. I guarantee you there is a group out there who meets and talks about all the fucking really fascinating things about turtles. And that group has a sense of community and a service, and they have a purpose because they're probably serving a larger thing, which is probably to keep turtles healthy and safe and alive. And that's a purpose because it's larger than oneself.
Yeah,
and so there's all these things that you can navigate through, but you first have to actually be honest with yourself about what things you're curious about and not be afraid to express that curiosity, even if it might be weird. That's a huge part.
Exactly. So, two examples I can think of, one relating to getting into community, from, I guess, round one of me on the Jaxon Stone pod. I mentioned I'm an audio engineer, was in school for that, and a year later, still in COVID, whatever variant we're gonna be in when this posts, hopefully nothing, it'll be done.
Yeah, hopefully everyone's healthy.
Yes. So I am back in school, I should say I'm taking a class at the school that I went to in live sound. So I'm surrounding myself with a bunch of people that like music, like audio, and the community there is great. Like I know I have still connections that I still keep in touch with. I know people have gotten jobs because of them going through school, because of the people that they meet there. One of the girls in my class I knew from, when I first started there 2 years ago, and, she's still around and she works in the music industry, and I know she was looking to me for help, and I know if she's, needing help in the future, I put myself in a good community of people that, like audio and music. Mm-hmm. So that's the first example, community, of like-minded people with similar interests, and that can help you out. But real life, for me was in, I want to say like 2016 or 17. I was playing with the McKinney Community Band, and let's just say I was probably on the younger side of the group, being fresh out of college, and our drummer being 80 years old.
What a legend!
If you want to know how to slow down the jazz band a little bit, but no, dude could keep up. It was great. But there was another guy who ended up going through, head cancer. Or anytime something even I went through surgery, and they got me a letter and like a little gift card. When the guy had cancer, we did a little fundraiser for him. The entire band was community funded, as it was only a $50 annual membership. So they said the best dollar you could spend a week is at band, and we did better stuff with community, came together with the purpose to make music, and ultimately there was a bigger purpose there, because you find yourself in a good community. So whatever it is, find a community. Don't just isolate. Getting out there is important, because I know what it's like to just kind of stay in and question, should I even get involved in the first place? Right. And I still question with sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, there's still stuff where
there's a lot of anxiety for that, like going out and just trying something new, and
I don't like doing stuff new on my own. That's a big thing. I don't like doing stuff new on my own. I feed off of other people's energy, but I gotta, in order to do that, I feel like I gotta feed off of somebody's energy I know, and I feel like it's because I need somebody else's validation there for me. And I feel like that's why I don't like going out alone, is because I need the validation of somebody to present to others, because I don't know, I feel like what was that was another thing people mentioned, or not people, my manager mentioned in my annual review, is that I'm very approachable. And I said, well, glad people think I'm very approachable at work, because find me at outing, or the bar event, and I feel like I'm unapproachable. Nobody really comes up to want to talk to Joel, and I feel like it's hard to kind of interject. It's hard to interject yourself into any sort of group that's already established itself. That's honestly the most, it's harder than diamond penetrating a friendship group and trying to get in. So
it's very hard.
Trying to, at work, it's kind of, they don't get a choice, they gotta work with me. So I'm glad to hear that I'm approachable. But when I go out, I feel like I need somebody else that I know to help validate, me, when I'm talking with other people, just casually too. So it's kind of hard to make friends when I go out by myself or do something, and I kind of forgot where I was going with this, but
It just started off with having a sense of community and service and connection with other people, and making you feel like you have a sense of belonging and you have a path. Other people are there.
Yeah.
I asked you about the Jewish community.
Approachable. I'm glad to know that I'm approachable. Some places, but other places, I wish more people approached me. I feel like, the opposite. And so, there's, feelings of, me being able to conquer all at times, but there's also times where I feel like I'm the smallest person in the room that, just a fly on the wall, nobody notices. So, it's about finding the right community, like I said, and then also just the right friend and support group.
Right. Yeah. That takes a lot of time. It could take trial and error, Not every situation is going to be the right situation for you, and it's hard to maybe feel like you don't belong in a certain place and be able to pick yourself back up and try again until you find that right group of people. When you do, it's quite magical and life-changing, I think. But
and another thing I'm exploring, and literally just starting exploring therapy, is what is the right things to tell, to people, and
right.
or what not to tell people, reading, situations. If it's somebody, like if it's your best friend, like shout out Connor, who probably is not listening, but Connor's just my best friend.
He's going to get a direct link to this episode. He's going to get
a direct link to the Jaxon Stone pod.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we're going to find the old BBYO Lewis reunion group, Facebook group, and we're going to send this to them.
What up, y'all? I invented this. For all the Lewis people that are going to watch this, I invented this. I wanted there to be like a gang sign. Like Kaplan had the DGAF sign. I don't remember what it was. But I was like one day playing with my hands, not myself, just playing with my fingers. And I was like, 135. That was our number. Mm-hmm. No, that works. And it became a thing. And honestly, I saw it the other day. Like somebody's sibling that I saw on Facebook, was in Lewis, and they posted, and they're throwing it up, and I'm like, shit, I got a legacy. Nobody knows who I am, but that was pretty cool.
We're speaking about the BBYO group, which is like a Jewish youth organization that we were part of when we were in high school. It's where we met. So we met a few of the other people that Joel has mentioned. It was called Lewis.
Named after a dude, last name Lewis.
And our number for that group was 135. And that's where the hand sign is. Anyways.
Yeah.
Continue.
So, good sense of, also another great community. Like, that was my community in high school. I didn't have any friends at Plano Senior where I went to high school. My friends were the ones from BYO growing up.
Yeah.
Now that, here's another, interesting thing I've learned throughout, I guess, the year. Because I've been back from Arizona. I moved back in 2019, April 2019. So yeah, the 2 years I've been back, when I initially moved back, so I went to Arizona State, moved back because of State Farm in 2016, thought things would be the same, they weren't. Moved back to Phoenix thinking things would be the same, they weren't. And then when I moved back here, it finally took me a while to accept, okay, Joel, you're going to have to make new friends. Mm-hmm. The friends from high school that are still here, that do still hang out with each other, probably because they still went to college with each other, or they, definitely kept in touch with each other through, sports or fantasy or something. Mm-hmm. And so I knew it wasn't going to be like us getting together on the weekends, and then same thing in going back to Arizona. It wasn't going to be us college buddies, after work getting together like it was the fraternity brothers after, they kind of solidified friend groups, got closer. You leave and it's hard to repenetrate those groups. So, I approach trying not to think things that were, just going to be the same and really try to make new friends. And I did so, through work, through Jewish community, and it's broadened my horizons, I guess, and people that I know.
Yeah.
So.
You met a few people in my kind of friend group circle.
Met a couple people in your friend group circle too.
Yeah. So I mean, there's ways, but it's hard.
It definitely is. He gets more not anymore.
We don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, you know what? That's getting edited. Shout out Riri. Love ya. You're my favorites of the... Actually, you're the only one that I know about.
Well done, Joel. Well done. Okay, so we're gonna...
Anyway, we've all had past dating history.
Yeah, of course you have. Yeah, of course.
Except for me.
No, you do.
Yeah, we okay. So
you do. But the most important is your future dating history, which is going to be the ones that's fulfilling and real and important and lines up with your values. Speaking of values, we got this really cool compass of emotions on our wall over there that we put up. And Joel mentioned while we were putting it up that while speaking to his therapist, they're focusing on trying to define his values. And I did a whole podcast episode on this called Authenticity, about trying to construct your personal philosophy, which is basically what values you want to live by. Because if you have a defined set of values that you want to live by, it's much easier to show up authentically. It's much easier to say no to things that don't line up with your value. And it's much easier to kind of be resilient through the mud and the hard times when you know what you line up with and what is ahead of you. So I don't know if I have a question specifically, but if you want to comment on what I just said.
That's a very good point. I mean, learning values, it's not a, overnight thing, honestly, and it's not an over a month or, even a year to really find out what your values. I mean, your values come from a lot of places, the people you surround yourself with, religion or whatever spiritual higher belief you believe in.
Right.
I mean, those two are the big things that give values.
What you consume. Right?
And then
everything else that you consume.
Yes and no. It depends on what you consume. I wouldn't say what you consume gives you your values. Maybe gives you more so interest, but values being ultimately like, what brings me purpose? Mm-hmm. Do I matter? Not do I matter, because of course I matter, but am I capable of doing it? Just believing in yourself. Those are sort of things, eventually just, discovering what ultimately do I value in life. And when you're questioning situations and other things, you got to think of, okay, well, does this bring me value? Does it bring, what do you value? I know that I value helping, others. I know I value, just being able to fulfill a parent's legacy, and with that comes, handling myself in a, proper manner, just reflecting, them, a lot of, just a lot of different, values, come from. So a lot of it is, am I capable of doing it? And so just having confidence. But yeah, we'll hopefully, dive more into the spiritual compass. It's a very interesting thing my therapist has developed, and honestly, when I need to talk feelings, that's what I'll pull out, and I've found it valuable and helpful but that's, the other thing, expressing how you feel to people. Not everybody knows or wants to, necessarily listen to your feelings is another thing that I've learned.
Sure.
It's just learning. You also got to learn who to listen to.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And I think what also this goes to show, or just like expanding what words you use to describe what emotion you're feeling, is also important for yourself. Like you said, right? I can't say okay or good.
Yes, those are not, yeah.
Those aren't really descriptions of exactly how you might feel and where to take those emotions and how they feel in your body.
Yeah, that's why when you ask, the very first question is, how are you doing? I was prepared to tell you a feeling, but, I told you, overwhelmed, and then I told you, I feel this and this and this, and, hopefully people say, when you ask how you doing, that they're not okay, that they don't say okay, but they actually, will say, I'm doing,
expand on it.
They fine because I feel
I'm joyful, I'm overwhelmed, yeah. I'm grateful, I'm feeling passionate, I'm guilty.
I have fear and scared in some situations,
Right.
Which I'm trying to think. What's a good, it's a segue into, I guess, feelings and also, probably the biggest thing that has happened since the year that, I happened in the year I've lived in is my dad.
Yeah.
So we've probably plugged it in the pod before. Kidney for Steve, the number 4, so kidney for Steve.
It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah. .org. My dad needs a kidney transplant. He has blood type O, so he could only receive from an O kidney. He could receive either positive or negative, so any O type he can receive, but he, he's got shelf life left on him, has, the world to see still. He has, wants to travel and do has a lot of aspirations. In order to do that, needs a kidney transplant, and as of he started dialysis, which is 3 days a week, about 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, and so it's not really an optimal way of life. He likes to go on cruise ships, and can't go on a cruise ship if you're on dialysis. Like, we could still travel and go places, but he has to set up with dialysis center, and that's 4 days out of 20 or 4 hours out of a 24-hour day.
Right.
So it's just not the optimal way of living life, and with that comes a lot of emotions. I found out they didn't tell me the full scope of everything until February, and it had been going on for a little bit, but learning where my lane and everything was took a while. What is my level of involvement, what boundaries are we setting, or are they setting for me? What do I need to and not need to know? So learning that my dad needed the kidney transplant, very tough. And then I guess going through, I guess, the steps of advocating for it was going to be something that was new to me. I do not care for social media. I do not post on social media. It's just, I'll look at social media. Excuse me. Because I care to see what, some other people are up to, if that's how they care to express themselves. But social media, not my thing. Mm-hmm. So knowing how powerful of an outlet it is, one of the things that I fear is being vulnerable, and I don't like being, and it's not a masculine thing at all. It's just that I don't like being public. And then being vulnerable to public. I'm selective of the people that I'm vulnerable with. Mm-hmm. And so to have to be vulnerable publicly is something that I don't care to do, and share my emotion. Well, I'm not necessarily sharing my emotions per se on social media, but just having to advocate. And then I don't know, you could edit this out later if you want, but I know people will like and comment, to validate their own feelings and get their own self-gratification. Mm-hmm. They'll get their get your comment saying, that thinking about me. But, at the end of the day, I'm still not getting that text or that phone call of, one of the things I learned, during this entire pandemic is the importance of calling people, not just, sending a text, which I'll do occasionally, but, picking up the phone and giving somebody a phone call. That was one thing. Going to Phoenix, in high school, everybody was texting each other. And then I went to ASU in 2012 through 2016. Everybody called each other. Mm. Not a lot of people texted. Moved back here, everybody, here texted. And then, I'm a caller. And then people find it weird that I'm calling. And then I find out from you. Now the thing is, people Snapchat each other. It's not even just, regular Snapchat. It's the corner blurry of their face. And
yeah, well, that's only what I've learned from coaching and having some clients that are young.
So I don't have Snapchat. That's one thing.
But as adults, we should definitely be
call more,
using video messaging.
I call my grandma.
Calling, texting, Skyping, Zooming. There's so many opportunities to have face-to-face conversation with people who live not even near you, and that's a magical thing.
I FaceTime with my 84-year-old grandmother who just learned how to use an iPhone, an iPad.
There you go, Grandma.
Over COVID, it's incredible. It's honestly a miracle, because her learning technology. Ooh. But she's 84. She's lives alone. Got divorced a while ago, so by choice. So as she would say, she's single by choice.
Right.
But I think she and I have a sense of, we both know what it's like to be a little bit lonely. So I call my grandma just because I know the feeling of being lonely, and I know what she of course she calls me. I know the feeling of what it's like to get a phone call from somebody you haven't talked to in a while. And, if it's somebody you haven't talked to in forever and you shoot them the hey, I did that today. I sent my friend a text, went to a concert this weekend, and it's a show of somebody that I know we like together. So I sent her a text and said, hey, saw Goldfish over the weekend, was thinking about you. Hopefully she gets back and, hey, would love to talk. So arrange a phone call. I hate people that say they don't make plans and they actually do make plans. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I've noticed about people, and can't say I'm not, guilty, myself of doing it sometimes. Like, I'm not planning, but, selective, you could definitely, you have 10 minutes for a phone call.
Right.
Yeah, you got 10 minutes, to call somebody, even if it's, you got to set a timer for 10 minutes, Phone calls go a long way.
They do.
So, that's one thing, I've learned is very, very important, is calling people. Where else did I go with? So, with my dad,
Start advocating.
Yeah, so people wouldn't necessarily, they'd, get their like and, nothing else from there. And, the other thing too is, people don't really ask about me anymore. The focus is now, how is your dad doing? How is he feeling? It'd be nice, no matter, I'm not going to straight up, wave the white flag saying, hi, I need help. I need you to ask me how I'm doing. But typically, I try to give, if I'm calling you a lot or if I'm reaching out a lot, it's usually my plea.
That's an indication.
Yeah, and so some people understand it, some people don't understand it.
Yeah.
The people that definitely, understand are my best friends. But, I know the bigger purpose, like I said, I'm a giving person, so ultimately, the focus isn't me, it's for my dad. I won't, I'll do whatever it takes to, I guess that's one of the things I do is if somebody does try to give me the attention, I guess sometimes I push it back, and I crave attention, in a sense that I want to be recognized.
Right.
But in terms of attention, I want to be recognized for
who you are, what you do.
Who I am. Yeah, exactly.
Those things for sure.
I'm not. My dad needs a kidney, and I'll do everything to tie that in. But I'm my own person, and I need somebody also there for me. I'm there for my parents, and sometimes it's need people there for me, and I don't I do have a therapist. I got my group, or friends, and sometimes we all have different ways of coping. And
well, it's like there's certain situations that come up in life, whether it be illnesses or deaths or other tragic events that come into our life. The focus tends to be on the one specific thing that's happening, and and we put all of our attention on that, and that's important, right? Because it needs attention and care, because it's the actual thing that's happening. But then if we zone out a little bit into a broader view, we see that the people who are caregiving or taking care of that situation full force are getting emotionally depleted and drained because of that. So there has to be that layer behind them who checks on that people, who check on that person. It's all just like this string of events that are being stitched together, so everyone is taken care of and their needs are being met, so we can put our full attention on the actual subject at hand. That's the idea, I think. Because I've been dealing with that for a long time. Right? What's going on with my family?
You think of a Jewish funeral, and everybody is bringing something, and then there's people coordinating and bringing stuff, but there's always somebody there that needs the emotional support, and then somebody that's giving the emotional support needs the emotional support.
Right.
And that's kind of, I think, a perfect, almost poetic looping point is if you're watching Ted Lasso right now, his therapist is going through difficult times, he walks in and sees alcohol bottles everywhere, and you realize that, you know, you can help other people as much as you can, but sometimes the person helping needs help.
Right. Yeah.
And
that resonated a lot with me when she was when the doctor was on the phone with her friend saying, how do I reach through Ted? And basically the friend saying, you have to be vulnerable with him to show him how he can be vulnerable with you. It's a two-way street. And that's important, right? That's how you build connection with people. But you first have to build that trust with someone that the information I'm sharing with you is only for you, and it's being used to harness a deeper meaning for the both of us, not to be used against me or as a point of attack later on. And that's important because people fear that. Like, you're going to use this information against me because it's happened in the past in previous relationships, and so we take that with us in our next relationships. But it's hard to create a clean slate of like open vulnerability and stuff, and that's where like obviously deep connections and meaningful relationships are made. But you just have to keep trying, and like there's no really other way around it until, like we've talked about, right? You meet that special someone who gets the Joel Sands hat that I gave you
one day. It's a JS hat, and
yeah, most people listening have that hat, so
you could interpret it both ways.
Yeah, exactly. That's why our Wi-Fi name is JS versus JS.
We're both JS over here.
Yeah. What time is it? Just to make sure we got time.
It is 6:30.
Okay, perfect. So it's a perfect stopping point.
Perfect stopping
After
point.
one more question.
Yes.
You love Marvel.
I do love Marvel.
Joel loves Marvel. So if you ever meet Joel or see him at a show or recognize him, great conversation starter is anything about Marvel.
Anything.
And since this conversation flew by actually and it went very well, Joel will come on for a part 3. It won't take us a year. But I just need why you fell in love with Marvel so much and your 3 favorite movies done by Marvel.
Okay.
I know you have those answers.
So I fell in love with Marvel. It started off with the Spider-Man comics. They did like a reprint in the Dallas Morning News when I was young. And I just fell in love with superheroes, knowing that the good guys always win for the most part. You know, unless you're some, you know, anti-hero, whatever, you know. The good guys for the most part. That's why I looked up to superheroes. Marvel, loved Stan Lee. Spider-Man was the guy that got me into it, and I could show you videos of me from like my 5th birthday party or 6th birthday party before Tobey Maguire's one came out, me dressed up as Spider-Man. I don't know. There was just something about Marvel and superhero movies. Because, you know, I was the bullied person, so it gave you something gave me something to look up to.
Something to believe in.
So, Favorite Marvel movies.
Top 3.
Top 3. Okay.
Starting from 3.
Oh, I don't have an order.
Oh, you don't have an order?
I can't give you an order. It's like asking who's your favorite child.
That's okay.
I mean, I could definitely give you, you know, ones I don't care for, but
we don't need to go into those.
Top 3, Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire and Alfred Molina as Doc Ock.
Nice.
And when you go back and you watch the original Spider-Man trilogy, it is a superhero movie, but it's really what I call a superhero romantic superhero movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
At its essence, in the other Spider-Man movies, it's not a rom-com. There's like it's
romance.
really
It's beautiful,
truly romance.
Yeah,
and
I love that movie.
So
I love Tobey Maguire.
That trilogy,
rockstar.
You know, I was gonna say those 3 movies together, that trilogy, have a place in my heart. Second favorite Marvel movie, I am gonna have to go with the... In the X-Men series, I'm gonna have to go with Days of Future Past. Thought that was so cool seeing the old X-Men and the new X-Men come together.
Sweet.
And then I'll go ahead and give you the cinematic timeline. I'll give you 3 movies from that.
Okay.
From the Marvel MCU. It's gonna be Endgame, Black Panther, and Civil War.
Sweet.
You heard it there.
That's Joel's take. So if you haven't seen any Marvel movies, start there. I haven't seen Shang-Chi yet, which
I'm down to go again.
which is amazing, but I did actually buy my tickets yesterday to go see the new James Bond movie, which comes out October 8th, which I'm pumped because I love James Bond. Yeah, thanks, Joel. That's a wrap on this episode.
Shout out to Big J and Duncan. Hope you're doing well.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Wheeler, Utah. I want the shout out back, baby, on TNT. Let's go.
Big Utes!
Let's see who else gets a shout out. Shout out to Lori and Jaxon Stone Sr. Because that's the greatest thing I think I've come up with.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
And as always, shout out to the Leather Sofa Company. If you need a great cushy for that tushy, go to the Leather Sofa Company.
Beautiful. Thank you guys so much for watching. Best ways to support the pod are leaving us a review on Apple, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and signing up for Patreon. But thank you as always for watching. New episodes drop every Tuesday. This is episode number 72. Grateful for you all. Love you all so much. Cheers. Have a great day, night, wherever you are, whatever you're doing.
KidneyForSteve.org.
Yes, right here.